That right there is right-wing Pizzagate conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec unfurling a flag reading "White Boys Summer," while hats with the same slogan were tossed to the screaming audience.
When has it not been White Boys Summer? Has there been a summer in the history of America that wasn't White Boys Summer? Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. This is the second installment of You So MAGA or MAGA So Crazy. Thanks to all you guys that have suggested names, by the way. My favorite was sent in by Jamie, who suggested Into the MAGAverse. I really like that one. By the way, if you missed the first one, the link is in the description. This week being the week of Juneteenth, naturally would be the same week I see White Boy Summer all over the timeline. Word. So every February we have to hear about why can't there be a White History Month, despite the fact that every month, including February, is White History Month. And now when we have one day, just one day, to celebrate the end of slavery, you know, all the things that we asked for, how about full enfranchisement into the American dream? How about something like that? How about police reform? That's something we've been asking for a while. I got a holiday. How about y'all want a holiday? Yeah, y'all want a holiday? How about reparations? No, y'all got the holiday. Y'all go ahead and take the holiday. Go ahead, take the holiday, take the whole day off. We got one day. And in response to that one day, now what do we have? White Boy Summer. Boy, we can't have nothing. I tell you, we can't have nothing. We find one Oreo, here they come with Hydrox and cream betweens. We can't have nothing. And by the way, for those of you that are unacquainted, I know you're asking, what exactly is White Boy Summer?
That right there is right-wing Pizzagate conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec unfurling a flag reading "White Boys Summer," while hats with the same slogan were tossed to the screaming audience. For those who may not remember, and why would you, White Boy Summer was originally a line from a viral 2021 social media rant by legendary actor Tom Hanks's lesser-known son, Chet Hanks. The rant played off Megan Thee Stallion's hit 2019 song, Hot Girl Summer.
Hey guys, look, I just wanted to tap in really quick. I just got this feeling, man, that this summer is, it's about to be a white boy summer. You know, take it how you want. I'm not talking about like Trump, NASCAR type white. I'm talking about, me, John B., Jack Harlow type white boy summer. You know what I mean?
Oh, Chet. As you might expect, folks made fun of young Chet, even as the Jamaican accent parroting culture vulture launched a line of T-shirts and even a rap song for it, complete with a music video. White Boy Summer quickly took off as a hilarious meme, and people had a legit good time with it. But it wasn't long before the thirsty far-right and white supremacists decided it was time to cancel everyone's fun and culturally appropriate the cultural appropriation for their own purposes, using the phrase in their online memes to try to attract unsuspecting white youth to their cause. The Anti-Defamation League describes their tactics, writing that while some White Boy Summer memes include white supremacist neo-Nazi symbols, such as swastikas or references to the white supremacist 14 words slogan, other White Boy Summer promoters are tactically watering down their content to attract less extreme users and disseminate their content widely. One Telegram account outlined the plan, encouraging users to strategically create content without the use of fascist or Nazi symbols so normies can get in the mood for White Boy Summer and not get scared away. I don't know how many in that Detroit audience grasping at the pink hats knew what they were signing up for. Or maybe they just wanted a free hat, and I'm not sure how many at a conference like that one would be considered normies. But Jack Posobiec sure knew what he was doing when he strutted across that stage with that flag, because he's a professional fascism-curious right-wing troll. And at this stage, White Boy Summer is no longer a funny Chet Hanks meme. It's an explicit white supremacist message.
They even picked out an outfit for Charlie Kirk for White Boy Summer. Hey, if the hood fits. Now, you're probably thinking, wasn't Trump just at a black church? And by that, I mean a black church doing a Blacks for Trump event? Why, yes, he was. I did a video all about it. Jesus turned water into wine. You know, Jesus turned water into wine, and he also multiplied the loaves of bread. And he repeated that miracle in Detroit because he turned 18 black people into 8,000. Well, why waste a day on black people when there are very fine people on both sides?
But he goes to this black church in Detroit, and his campaign does not take any steps to avoid the pews being completely filled with white people, with white Trump supporters. Then on the day, the message of his supposed campaign is that he's trying to appeal to black voters, right? That's the whole point of doing this photo op. He then goes straight from that venue, stuffed with white people, to a conference hosted by this guy, who has been in the news for the last few months, for saying, quote, "We made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s, saying that he thinks black people are not qualified to be airline pilots, that he worries if he's on a flight and sees that the pilot is black," who has been posting things like, quote, "Whiteness is great" on social media, who has been hosting guests on his podcast to talk about how black people are inherently biologically inferior and incapable of advanced intelligence. Someone who said literally MLK, meaning Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., quote, "MLK was awful, not a good person." So on the day your campaign message is, hey, black voters, look at me, aren't I appealing? Going from the black church that's inexplicably full of white people right from there to go be with, to go do an appearance with the MLK was awful and the Civil Rights Act was a mistake guy. If that's how you're running your campaign, you are not trying very hard.
And yes, that is every bit how unserious this Blacks for Trump and Black Lives MAGA and Open Your Eyes, that is exactly how unserious all of this is. My man went right from a black church right to a right-wing white boy summer event. Like right from black to racist. Right, like he took a shuttle bus from black to racist. Didn't take no stops in between. Didn't get no Chick-fil-A this time to give out to the black folks. Didn't stop to pick up a pair of shoes. Nothing. Right from black to racist. I mean, at least warm me up, Trump. At least like the same day, right from black to racist. Don't be Candace Owens. Ease your way into racist. Be a Jason Whitlock or maybe a Bill Maher. Don't go from from black to racist. Wait, what's that? Oh, who's invited? Well, you have to be white. Oh, poor racist Jake Shields thought they wouldn't find out he was Muggle-born. It's sad. Also, you have to be a boy. And she is right about that because they'll let anybody in after that. For White Boy Summer.
What if your choice of water could make a statement? What if it could symbolize your commitment to values like freedom, individuality, and self-reliance? Freedom to owe water isn't just about what's inside the bottle. It's about the message it sends with every sip. With labels like, this water isn't free, but your speech is, it's not just refreshing, it's rebellious, and it's unapologetic to drink this in public. Can you freaking believe it? But that's where we are. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary acts, like Taking a sip of water can be infused with meaning and purpose. By choosing to drink Freedom 2.0, you're not just choosing a brand, you're choosing to stand up for what you believe in. Try Freedom 2.0 and tag me in your Instagram story for a repost. Hold on, drink break.
So I want them to keep the white stuff in my water. Like take the black stuff out of it, but if there's white impurities in there, I want to keep that. Yeah, I want it, because I don't want my water to be clear. I want my water to be white. Yeah, just give me some milk then. Some of them have been celebrating for weeks already. Don't worry about it, Neil. Just tell them it's white boy summer. They'll let you off. But then again, I guess that doesn't make it any different from any other summer for you, does it? You pretty much always have had that card to play. When has it not been white boy summer? Has there been a summer in the history of America that wasn't white boy summer? Maybe 2020? 2020. Yeah, 2020 probably. That wasn't. 2020 was not white boy summer. That is the one summer that was not white boy summer. I can't even call it a black summer either, because we were not happy at that time. That was just a discolored summer. That was a summer devoid of, it was a nude summer. If there's one thing that we have to accept being black in America, it is white folks asking for something that they already receive in spades. Seeing how the little bit of appreciation and acknowledgement other groups get is offensive to them in some way because they can't participate. Oh, White Boy Summer just got a new sponsor, OnlyFans. Y'all not slick, OnlyFans. I see what y'all doing. No, I see what y'all doing. They just want to disassociate themselves from George Santos. Hey, I thought you didn't know what OnlyFans was, George. I ain't seen him fall from grace that bad since Tommy Tuberville.
To see his decline over the last few months, I don't think he'll make it. Just watched him yesterday walking on a tarmac in L.A. with Nancy Pelosi shuffling his feet, looking at the ground. I mean, we got to have some leadership in this country.
By the way, if you haven't checked out my piece on Project 2025.
We have to go after the deep state. This is the Praetorian Guard. This is the constant government we've had. This is why we're going to go after the administrative state. Not just the 2 million basic billets in the civilian side of the government, also the contractors, 8 million contractors. We're going after all of it. And we're going to take it apart. And we don't care what the mainstream media thinks about that.
I implore you to do so. It's very important.
So I don't think that it's bad to have something that says honor your father and mother so that you will live a long life. That is the first commandment that has a promise attached to it. I don't think that it's bad to teach children that adultery is something that you should not do. And also listed in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal. And maybe the left and some of these politicians are having a meltdown over having that right there listed in our classrooms, thou shalt not steal, is because government hates competition and they don't want our children to realize that that's something you shouldn't be doing.
Lauren Boebert, you gonna make me drag you again? Huh? You gonna make me drag you again? Go get your son a lawyer and stop trying to tell other people. You know what? Never mind. No, I got you. The 10 Commandments of the GOP coming soon.
Immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke-ass niggas.
A few moments later.
I think this is your first public interview. Is this your first public interview?
And you couldn't resist. You like, no, No, we have to cape for a fellow racist. We can't. No racist left behind. Welcome to Racist of the Week, where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. Today's first nominee, unemployed Lily Gaddis, and many, many more. You'll see. Let's start with her. Now, Lily Gaddis was a self-described trad wife TikToker who was axed from her graphic design gig this week after casually dropping the N-word in a cooking video.
You're getting the opinion of some dumb whores and immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke-ass niggas. And they don't care. We don't give a fuck about your money. I couldn't care less about your fucking money, okay? My type is broke mechanics and surfer hippie dudes who just want to live in a shack and surf and have babies.
Now, I originally ignored this video. I didn't plan on covering this for a couple reasons. Number one, the video didn't really offend me that much. It didn't curdle my cocoa butter. I mean, if I made a video every time somebody dropped an N-word, I would have to open up like 400 or 500 more channels. I mean, I just don't have the bandwidth for it. The second, the reason why I wasn't going to originally cover this video is I mentioned that she was recently let go from her gig. Well, this was her boss. So I have to ask you, what self-respecting racist is out here working for a black woman? I mean, you let me know. Is that really what's hot in the racist streets? Like, I haven't known. She was playing the long game. She was trying to sink her company from the inside. So I felt like this didn't rise to the level of something that I would cover in Racist of the Week. However, it was after her firing that things really got interesting. First, her boss, Terry Lindo, who was the owner of Rofi of the Carolinas, was flooded with racist comments after the firing. Now help me out, racist, because the thing that you love to assert is that black people just point to racism where it doesn't exist, and we claim there's racism behind every rock and every corner, except what you did to Terry Lindo made racism appear behind every rock and every corner. Like you literally, like you are creating the thing that you claim to not exist. I'm trying to figure out the level of hustling backwards that this is right now. Like what kind of defense was that for the original? Like, what you did was way worse than the original. I'm trying to figure out how that works in her favor. And it was in digging into Lily Gaddis's background that things really got interesting. Even though the original post wasn't as bad as the response from these knuckleheads on social media, turns out it was just the tip of the proverbial racist iceberg for her. And this moment just provided a platform for her to unleash.
It is not one single word. It is a pattern of behavior. For example, this happened last night, just in response to one person. And there's a lot of this kind of stuff on her profile. And just in case she applies at other companies that maybe don't realize and think this was a one-off incident, in the aftermath of that, rather than learning any kind of lesson, stuff like this was done. That was her tweet, and then this account, Animals, indeed, we all have your back. And she says, hell yeah. Who is that was retweeting her? Aryan HQ, as in this white supremacy propaganda pushing accounts on Twitter that supports the Aryan race, the master race theories, and posts plenty of stuff in line with that. And she saw a retweet from them and she was like, hell yeah. And you might be like, well, maybe she doesn't know what they're about. Oh no, I'm fairly certain that she does because she follows them. So she should be well aware of what they're all about. And when someone pointed that out publicly, she told them to S her D. So, classy on top of everything else. These are just 3 recent ones I quickly grabbed to show. But I got a ton of these after posting a video about her. Some of these, though, they alternated in fat and Jew as well. But aside from those 2 words, it's pretty much all just those words, just over and over again. Like, they have the vocabulary of a poorly trained parrot. On the surface, it looks like she's suffering the consequences of her actions, but with her leaning into it, I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future she got offered like a correspondence job at Newsmax or Fox.
So a recent video of mine seems to have upset members of a certain community, and all the backlash just really made me, just really do a deep dive, like do a soul search. And after all that, I still couldn't find a care.
Gaddis has spent the week dropping even more slurs as she's embraced right-wing fear-mongering that white women aren't giving birth enough.
Yeah. Hey, America. Hey, people not having kids. You are some stupid motherfuckers out there. The birth rate is declining, and what are you doing? You're getting married. Like, why even bother fucking getting married, you loser? You're getting married. You have some fucking dog in a stroller like a and then what are you doing? How are you helping America? We're letting the birth rates decline, and I'm speaking particularly to white people. So today, I want you to take the time out of your day to thank a single mom, because us girls getting knocked up, we're the only ones helping with the declining birth rate. You're welcome, America. You're fucking welcome. God.
Now, as I mentioned, Gaddis is a self-described trad wife, a trend in recent years where influencers have embraced traditional gender roles, posting videos that show them cooking dishes from scratch and caring for their families, a Harrison Butker fantasy. But here she is in these trad wife streets, despite the fact that she was clearly working as a graphic designer. But wait, it gets better. You know that whole thing about a trad wife, being a wife? Gaddis has given no indication that she's married or even has a man. Her personal Instagram remains private, but a second public account just shows a single post being a selfie. Still, Gaddis' continued rage baiting has led many to dig into her life with old videos and screenshots showing her posing in multiple photos with a young child. She appeared to confirm claims that the kid was hers, responding to one comment, "My son is white as hell." So let me get this straight. You are a trad wife, a traditional wife, who works outside the home, but doesn't even have a man. Like you're not even a wife. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, you might as well go on Basketball Wives with that kind of resume. I mean, Lord knows that is one place where they will accept you not being a wife. You are the trad wife equivalent of Basketball Wives. At least I understand it. And you still out here posting about people needing to have more kids, which naturally you would want them to happen in families, without having a family of your own. All of a sudden, it makes perfect sense. That random turn that you made in that video about single mothers, you just needed to find a way to include you. Now, here's the part where I come for the rest of y'all, and the reason why I posted this video in the first place, because I just would have let her be hateful and sorry on her own. Several conservative outlets and commentators have come to her defense and provided her a platform.
You recently just went extremely viral, gained over 100,000 followers in 2 days on X alone, due to a TikTok video that you filmed of you saying, I think you're talking about broke-ass niggas.
I think this is your first public interview. Is this your first public interview?
Yes, I had to save it for my favorite InfoWars warrior.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Why? Why? What has she done to warrant being on your shows? Does she have a plan for the border? Has she developed a novel way for Trump to raise bail money? No, No, none of that? No, she's just racist. That's it. That's it. She's just racist. That is literally it. The level to which you played yourselves, and no, I won't give her any credit because of that whole thing about working for a black woman. I'm not going to give her any credit for any grand plan. The level that you played yourselves by admitting that all you have to do to rise in the ranks of conservative media is be racist. That's it. That is literally your only job, to rise in the ranks of conservative media. And that's something that she acknowledged herself when she tweeted, "Thanks, black community, for helping to launch my new career in conservative media. You all played your role well, like the puppets that you are." And I know I don't take offense to that, because she clearly confused her past employer with her future employers. They will be launching your career, and they played their role like the puppets that they are. And again, I will echo something that I said earlier with the trolls who responded by blasting her ex-employer with the racist comments. Here you had an opportunity of a woman who had absolutely no qualifications to be a commentator. She had no qualifications to be a leader. She had no qualifications to do anything but apparently the graphic design that she was doing. Her sole qualification is being racist, and y'all just couldn't resist, could you? You just couldn't resist. You knew, you're like, wow, it's gonna look really bad if we have this person on just purely by virtue of the fact that she said something racist. Like that's not gonna look good, right? That's not gonna look good for who we are. The kind of thing that we try and deflect about who we are as a platform gets exploded if we bring on this person just for being racist, and you couldn't resist. You like, no, we have to cape for a fellow racist. We can't. No racist left behind. No racist left behind. That's what I was taught. No racist left behind. So congratulations to Lily Gaddis, and especially congratulations to the conservative media apparatus. You are our racist of the week. As always, if you have somebody you would like to nominate, go ahead and leave it in the comments. You can email me at reese.waters@gmail.com, and be sure to subscribe to the page to make sure you get notified when the next video drops.
We're going to hear about a cult leader victim who bravely gave the tip of his ear to save racism everywhere.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, if you're anything like me, once we've established that Trump was in fact okay,
there's no place in America for this kind of violence.
and that political violence has never been okay. It should never be normalized, and condolences to the gentleman who lost his life. If you're like me, you thought just one thing during the aftermath of Trump's Pennsylvania rally.
Please don't let him be black. Please, Lord, do not let this be a black person. Please, not this time, Lord, not a black person. Please don't let him be black. Amen.
And fortunately, we were... Huh? What's that? Oh, there were other reactions? There were also several variations of Trump Smollett, or the formal Donald J. Smollett. Too many, in fact, for me to list. But I will say here, we were left with a number of questions.
Hey, I got some old ketchup in my pocket. Oh, yeah, he did that.
Sorry. That's my bad. That was the wrong video. Sorry. I meant these questions.
I mean, it's a little weird, that this is America and shooters don't miss unless they're hired to. People often flee the scene of a shooting, but these people did not. Instead, they crouched down not enough to protect themselves, just enough so they could keep recording. And when they saw that the Cheeto Puff was okay, they erupted into applause, and the Secret Service still did not rush him off a stage because there was no active threat perceived, even though it had not been declared that the shooter had been apprehended. And I'm just wondering something that I can't say out loud.
We had other questions like, who wrote this statement? This man posts every single day, multiple times a day, and we know exactly what his writing looks like. Something that flows from beginning to end without any grammatical or spelling errors, raises more questions than it answers. You actually would have made me feel more confident that he was okay if you would have sat on the keyboard. But I'm also wondering this question: how will this whole incident affect Trump's relationship with the black community? There it is. Yeah, there it is. Yes, because that train is never late. Not only are we criminals who are drawn to criminality, we also praise being shot. That gem, by the way, from Forbes, of all people, who has always had their ears to the streets. Here's a question. How soon is that merch gonna come out? Less than 24 hours. There it is. Wait a minute. Can we go back to that last one, though, for a second? Can we go back to that last one? Is that you, Candace? Of course you did. Of course you interjected yourself in this. I'm going to have to record a whole separate video to deal with you. By the way, the link will be in the description. I'm also wondering, how soon will Biden be blamed?
I believe that much of the rhetoric from the left has escalated to this moment. Just last week, we saw Joe Biden trying to excuse his poor performance at the debate and get that behind him and say, now we need to put Trump in a bullseye. President Trump was literally put in a bullseye after the president of the United States, the sitting president of the United States, called for him to be put in a bullseye.
I'd like to clarify what you just said. Do you believe that President Joe Biden bears any responsibility for what happened today, or does the responsibility for the shooting lie with the shooter?
I do believe that Joe Biden is responsible for the shooting today.
Well, the merge took less than 24 hours. That took less than 24 minutes. But all of that, the merge, the bad faith argument, the boilerplate statement, that was all pretty predictable. One thing I could at least be thankful for, at least nobody tried to blame DEI.
How the hell did he get on top of that roof? If you look at the pictures, he didn't go through the top of the roof. There had to be a ladder or something. Somebody really dropped the ball. You've got a DEI, basically a person, a DEI initiative person who heads up our Secret Service. She was working at Pepsi before this. I know she was a former Secret Service agent, but still, this is what happens when you don't put the best players in. It's a complete failure.
Yeah, man, I ain't got it. I ain't got it. I get you next week. I get my check. I get my check next week. I got you. Yeah. I mean, who knew? Who knew? I thought that was my bad. I thought it was no way. I thought it was no way. I mean, you can't put anything past Fox News. I mean, other than honest reporting.
Now, a white 20-year-old Thomas Matthews Crooks was labeled by the FBI as the person responsible for the attempt on Donald Trump. He's not black. It's not brown, not Asian, not Muslim, maybe not LGBTQ, not a woman, but a 20-year-old white man whose voting record was pulled, and he's a registered Republican. Now, if 2 + 2 is 4, and 5 + 5 is 10, what the hell is this? Before the maggots decide that they're going to start taking down their tweets and videos about this being a liberal attack, the Democrats wanted this, Joe Biden is responsible, before all of that gets taken down, I wonder, have you checked the call coming from inside the house?
Now, I will challenge one thing that she said. I don't see those tweets coming down. No. I don't see those tweets coming down. They have learned from Trump himself never to apologize, even when it is painfully clear how wrong you are. However, of all the reactions that I've seen all around the web, the best summation of everything I have seen and heard came from this TikToker, Dana S. Inspired.
Well, folks, I tried. I really did. I managed to squeeze out some genuine empathy for Orangina, and I thought I did a pretty good job. And then I made the mistake of looking at Elon's ex, and I remembered why the right is not compatible with empathy. And then I remembered Paul Pelosi getting hit over the head with a hammer and mocked by Schlumper and Company.
Oh, y'all remember that.
And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi, who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know?
That is for the what would Trump have said crowd. We actually know. You know what? My bad, Dana. I'm going to let you cook.
Well, folks, I tried. I really did. I managed to squeeze out some genuine empathy for Orangina, and I thought I did a pretty good job. And then I made the mistake of looking at Elon's ex, and I remembered why the right is not compatible with empathy. And then I remembered Paul Pelosi getting hit over the head with a hammer and mocked by Schlumper and Company. I remembered the image of bound, gagged, and hog-tied Joe Biden that Schlumper tweeted to the world. I remembered the assassination threats against Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and how 1 in 6 election officials have experienced threats because of their job, ranging from death threats that named officials young children to racist and gendered harassment by the right. I remembered MTG calling for the execution of Barack Obama, and Paul Gosar posting an animated video depicting him unaliving AOC. I remembered the far-right's violence against minority communities in Charleston, Pittsburgh, El Paso, Buffalo, Jacksonville, etc., etc., etc. I remembered Trump calling for people at his rallies to be harmed, and how he wanted to shoot protesters in the legs. And of course, I remembered January 6th, and how all our lawmakers' lives were in grave danger, and our Capitol police were pummeled and traumatized for Trump's adrenaline rush of vengeance for a country that kicked him to the curb. I remembered E. Jean and dozens of women who faced violence at Trump's own hands. And then I caught wind of J.D. Vance and all the wannabe up Trump's ass peanut gallery, who waited about 2.5 seconds before claiming that Joe Biden's campaign rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. And Representative Mike Collins going one step further, claiming Biden sent the orders. I remembered lock her up and knock the crap out of them, and good people on both sides, and when the looting starts, the shooting starts, and stand back and stand by. And I remembered that between 2013 and 2022, 75% of murders committed by extremists were caused by right-wing extremists, with only 4% caused by left-wing extremists. Of course, I don't advocate, celebrate, or condone violence. That's what the other side does. But I draw the line at feeling compassion for a man who we all know would be making a joke about the shooter having poor aim if this had happened to Joe Biden. I'm not going to go down the road with all the conspiracy theorists, although I find it baffling that his security team is so incompetent. And for the life of me, I don't understand how a man who was just shot at was able to stick his head above the Secret Service human shield that was huddled around him right after the shooting, so he could fist pump the air and encourage his voters to fight. You'd think the folks who are supposed to be experts at protecting the president's noggin would have been a little uncomfortable with giving the shooter a second chance at blowing it to smithereens. Folks, I think we all know what's in store for us. We're going to see the biggest misuse of martyrdom there ever was. We're going to see mediocre men marinating in victimhood, tossing out thinly veiled calls for retribution and dog whistle after dog whistle for MAGA minions to avenge the radical left. Joe Biden will be painted as a cunning force of evil, at least when he can remember where he is and when to take his Alzheimer's meds. It's gonna be torture. Absolute frickin' torture. And instead of talking about the corroborated testimony of young girls who were allegedly violated at the hands of the depraved sociopath who happens to be the Republican nominee, we're going to hear about a cult leader victim who bravely gave the tip of his ear to save racism everywhere. Yeah. Well, all I can say is I'm going to be sure to remember all the folks who feared for their safety because of Orangina Pervalicious Felonious Schlumper McPhee's thin-skinned rhetoric over the years. And I'm going to remind the bad actors that malevolent men don't get to turn victimhood into victory.
Do you use the N-word?
No, I don't.
Don, you gotta have N's around you to use the N-word. Who's she gonna use the N on? Madeline? Caitlin? Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. And no offense to T.O., but I think that's going to be the permanent jersey for all Candace Owens related content from here on out.
I'm in the streets. Max almost seems blacker than you, Stephen A.
It just seems to fit. What can I say? Well, we recall after leaving the Daily Wire, first she checked back in to see if she could still get into the cookout.
A limousine with a chauffeur. That's where I'm at right now. That song really does still slap, you guys. Why am I playing it? Because, well, I told you, I am having the blackest week ever.
And when security escorted her out, she decided to go off on her own, and she did not like the black experience.
We have heard from multiple sources that Candace's dismissal from the Daily Wire was, in large part, quote-unquote, financial. That her show just wasn't making the company enough money to justify continuing her employment. It is also claimed that she, quote-unquote, blamed producers for her show's failures and that she refused to work with certain advertisers. We have also heard that senior management felt they had a moral obligation to terminate Candace's employment due to what has been described as her increased anti-Semitism and her conspiracy theory.
That is fascinating. I can tell you, I don't know of any other black person that has happened to. That is wild. Let me tell you, this is new territory. But we did get some insight into her white experience and how, in fact, it is that she got so lost.
Was talking about the earth curvature and science, and I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith.
Well, she was somehow able to find her way onto Don Lemon's show on YouTube, and let's just say they chose violence.
And this is one thing that I've been wanting to ask you about, Candace, because it really bothered me. But I want the explanation in the context, as you say.
Do you have any clips of anything that you agreed with, or we're just gonna pretend this is a friendly interview as you can okay. Just wondering, is there even one clip of something that you agree with?
Ooh, you know what? I've been working on hiring a staff. I've never seen anything personally, but I've been working on bringing on some new folks and assembling a team. Maybe they could find something that you said. Maybe did you give a performance in school that I could not object to that wasn't anti-black? I haven't seen it.
I don't know. Maybe I agree with the next clip. But anyway, roll the next clip, please.
Bring shame back. Bring back saying you are disgusting, you are wrong, you are a hoe, you are a pervert. Call things for what they are.
I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. In fact, my attempt to bring shame back was exactly why I've been able to come through with so much Candace Owens content up to this point. Like, Candace, I've been doing my part.
Bring shame back. Bring back saying you are disgusting, you are wrong, you are a hoe, you are a pervert. Call things for what they are. And that is another way that they've psychologically tried to transform speech in America by saying like, oh, okay, you have free speech, but if you say that word, like if you say like, oh, that's whack or that's gay, then that would make you a homophobe. You don't want to be a homophobe, do you? It's no, we shouldn't do that. And it's even been the disappearance of words that actually had real meanings, like growing up, majoring in English, reading old English novels and understanding that a word like is a real word. It means a bundle of sticks.
Okay, so here is the issue that I have with that is nobody is saying the people in the Virginia Woolf novel were being homophobic. Nobody is accusing them of being homophobic. Meanwhile, nobody walking around when you were growing up, unless you are in the 280s, unless you were walking around all during the Industrial Revolution, nobody, when you were growing up, was using that word to talk about gay people. So what is your point?
So the word you said was right? Is that
Yeah.
exactly the word? So what did you mean by that? You think it's okay to say the word, to call people a to their face?
No, actually, I said words have meaning. And so when you start allowing the perverts to dictate speech, then words just have to go away. And as I said in that clip, when I was growing up and I was reading English novels, when people say you're walking through the woods to get a it meant a bundle of sticks. And then they said you can no longer say this word that has a real meaning, right? A bundle of sticks, because some pervert took that and threw it as an epithet towards gay people. I think that's actually, that's a wrong way of thinking, because then what you're doing is you're allowing perverts to dictate society. So
So
I don't like the death of the English language because people are getting offended. So that's like, I could pick any word. I could say, plant. And from now on, every time I see a gay guy, I'm gonna be like, he's a total plant. And then eventually they say you can't say plant anymore. It's like, no, this is a real word that has meaning.
I got it now. Now I got it. Okay, so this actually kind of goes back to the last video where we were trying to figure out exactly how it was that she got so lost. So she has wholly adopted the white perspective of you can't tell me what not to say. Forget that folks very often dictate how they would like to be addressed. Women have certain things they choose not to be called. Certain ethnic groups have things they choose not to be called. But sometimes we decide to respect those and sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's just, you know what? I can do what I want. It's a free country. And that is a very specifically white male perspective. And I wholly understand why you would adopt that, Candace Owens.
Attack the person who's perverting the word, but you don't suddenly disappear a word and you say you can no longer say it, or you can no longer read these Virginia Woolf novels because the word has been perverted. I think that's a backwards way of thinking.
Read Virginia Woolf novels, and the only people I know who are trying to ban books, Virginia Woolf. And other books that even say the N-word. I mean, it's conservatives. That's who's trying to do it. I don't think that you should be banning books.
Can y'all make up your mind? Can the right wing make up their mind when it comes to free speech? Because the same people out here saying, I can say what I want. Y'all use that word. Well, Ice Cube said it. Well, I can say it too. The same people fighting for free speech got Moms for Liberty out here trying to ban books because they might make white kids feel bad or because they involve just a smattering of gayness. The same folks.
Do you use the N-word?
No, I don't.
Don, you gotta have N's around you to use the N-word. Who's she gonna use the N on? Madeline? Caitlin? Audrey Grace?
Here's something interesting that we may have some common ground on, okay? But what do you think about same-sex marriage?
It's a sin.
You think it's a sin? So you think I'm sinful?
What's that?
You think I'm sinful because I'm married to a man?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, okay. You're sinning. You are in a sinful relationship. I actually don't believe marriage can be between two men.
Don, what made you think here's something we were going to agree on? Like, I need to understand how the pre-interview went. What about Candace Owens made you think that was something y'all were going to agree on? And as much as I really can't agree with Candace's stance here, I must acknowledge and give her credit for standing on bigotry. She's standing on bigotry.
So maybe we're not going to agree on this now. I thought we would. Do you understand, though, that the same Bible verses and the same scriptures that are used to call same-sex marriage sinful are used to call interracial marriage sinful as well? And so there are people who would say that you are in a sinful marriage.
Can you tell me which verse it is that would make people say?
The thing is that it's actually not there, and that people twist the Bible verses. That's my whole point. Thank you for proving that, because it doesn't say that. And it's actually, you're going to say Leviticus or whatever. It's not actually what Leviticus says. But go on. I don't want to get into specifics about the Bible, but that's not what the Bible says. It's just people using and interpreting scripture in a way that they want to interpret it.
Okay, now both of y'all need to sit down here. Both of y'all need to sit down here, because first of all, Don, how you gonna say the same people who use Bible verses to say that gay marriage is sinful also cite interracial marriage, and then you can't cite the verse? Like, you're literally having a specific discussion about the Bible and people citing verses. Because I read Ecclesiastes. It said if you had Reebok pumps, you going to hell. I heard the same thing about watching the original Candyman.
You can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't believe that I'm in a sinful marriage, but there are people who believe, Candace Owens, that you are in a sinful marriage because you are in an interracial marriage. And I say that as someone who is in an interracial marriage, so I am doubly sinful.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody make a biblical argument against people being married that are black and white.
Now, as far as you, Candace, we really gonna sit here? We really gonna sit here and act like people have not used the Bible to explain away and legitimize some of the worst evils in the history of mankind? Are we acting ignorant now? Like, what are you talking about? Like, Christianity in the Bible was used to legitimize slavery. Okay, it was used to legitimize the Crusades. We gonna pretend like people don't just decide what they want to do and then use the Bible to try and legitimize it? What are we doing here?
It just got weird. And then, of course, because he has to go through the leftist liturgy, he arrived at the inevitable point where he wanted to ask me about conspiracy theories. And at this point, his producers had produced a list asking me, do you believe this? Do you believe that? Do you believe this? And because you are a regular viewer of the show, you know that these are just psychological tactics. When they're calling somebody a conspiracy theorist, it's because they don't want you asking questions about a narrative that they are insisting upon.
Now, Candace, did you just take offense to being called a conspiracy theorist after you admitted to reading flat earther theories?
Me, on the other hand, he rolled over, he asked me, and I said, oh, I'm reading a flat earth theory. And it dawned into an entire conversation. He's like, why are you reading a flat earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it, and they included some links, and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe.
Huh? Is that what we're doing? And you said you read them just because somebody sent it to you, because if a lot of people believe something, you want to know what that thing is. Clearly not a critical mass of people, just some people. You need to know what that thing is, and now you're questioning it and rejecting science, and you take offense to being called a conspiracy theorist? How about a conspiracy reader? How about a buffoon?
But as I said yesterday, I'm built different.
No, you're not built. You built the same. You built the same.
And so they've taken it out of context, and Don Lemon was doing it and going, my Jewish friends and were so hurt by this. I struggled with the decision of whether or not to let you on here. And then I'm not even kidding. You're going to watch. This is unbelievable. I then am speaking to him about Christians being persecuted, and he laughs in my face at the concept of Christian persecution. And I lost my cool. Take a listen. It's not about the Holocaust, okay? Christians suffered too. In fact, we are the most persecuted religion in the world. And I am so sick of it. I am so sick of there can only be one victim narrative.
Candace,
And if you
come
start
on.
talking
I am
about
a Christian, and we are
Christians
not the most persecuted in the world.
that is
Come
a
on.
fact.
Let-
What are you
let me
saying?
just say,
We're
you know
not
what
the
it
most persecuted
sounds
religion
like?
in the
It
world. Do you know what's
sounds like to
happening in
you.
Armenia? Do you know what's happening in Nigeria? Do you know what just happened in Canada? The fake
let me
story
tell
that
you
was
what
was propagated by all of the mainstream networks about the nuns, and they found the mass burial, which allowed 85 Catholic churches to be burned to the ground in the last 3 years in Canada. We are still being persecuted right now. So I take great offense to you coming in here about the sensitivities of the people that are working on your show when I'm sitting here telling you that I'm a Christian and I'm offended by what you're saying, and you laugh, you mock Christian persecution. Do you think it's acceptable to laugh when someone tells you about Christian persecution? Because let me tell you something, if I had done that, if I had laughed about the Holocaust, I would be chased out of polite society. Then don't laugh. Don't laugh at Christian persecution. Don't do
being
it.
Laughable that the name is in the term. It's
do
laughable.
not laugh. You literally just laughed when I talked about Christian persecution. Don't do that ever again. Not in my presence. And that is exactly how I felt. And I just wanted people to hear that because I am so sick of this. I am so sick of people mocking Christians. They're just so comfortable doing it. He literally laughed when I started talking about Christian persecution.
No, they not mocking Christians. They mocking y'all. Yeah, they mocking y'all because I am a Christian and I don't feel mocked. Obviously, Don is a Christian and he does not feel mocked. They mocking y'all. Like, I mean, I mock people who can't answer God is good.
God is good. God is good. Amen.
No.
But look, it is the folks who are watching Christian nationalists trying to codify the religion into our nation's laws and credos. It is the folks who want 10 commandments put into the schools claiming they are persecuted that are being mocked. Those are the people that are being mocked. So I guess because of what happens in Armenia, you feel the need to persecute others here? Is that? Otherwise, why are we even talking about this? Because we have issues going on here right now with regards to other people not being able to exercise their freedoms. So you tell me how exactly this is relevant.
The audacity of that. And I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he did it because people need to see that. People need to understand that the mainstream media has, I guess, such a lack of respect for Christians because we're always supposed to be nice.
You know, I have thought that exact same thing because I look at mainstream media and I'll be like, where the Christians at? You know what I mean? I'll be like, where are the Christians? It ain't nothing but Muslims and Hindus all over CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I'm like, where the Christians? Where are the Christians? Can I get a job? In all seriousness, we all of a sudden get another brick in the story of Candace Owens. Now we understand where her black rage is. She needed to channel it in a direction that would be supported by her white circle, and that becomes Christian persecution. Now we know. Hey, Caitlin, Audrey Grace, y'all ready to hit this march? It's time to fight.
I'm your biggest supporter. Me and my friends are like your biggest supporters.
From the 203.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I just really wanted to ask you, how do you deal with the constant slandering of your name, especially in the beginning? Because right now, I'm going through this phase where people are attacking me because of maybe my beliefs or my values. And like, I literally was accused of like not liking black people.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now when we last heard from Candace Owens,
If there is a single person that wishes to come forward and to say that I mistreated them.
everybody black, pretty much everybody black, like past or present. Everybody black, even imaginary black people, like the people from the kids from the Boondocks and Granddad. Since then, she has started a brand new podcast that I have successfully ignored for 4 weeks.
Would love to
I
have
want to
you
ask
on.
you specifically about something you've been promoting that I think is an outrageous conspiracy theory, very offensive, very wrong, and I think you've done it just for clout and clicks. Now you can respond.
Candace? Moving for clout and clicks? No.
But it's this question about the French First Lady, Brigitte Macron, who you keep saying is a man. You produced zero evidence that she is a man. It's been deeply offensive to her husband, President Macron, to all of her family. You keep promoting it to millions of people that follow you. And I simply ask why.
I would like to note here that Candace Owens is so problematic, she made me have to side with Piers Morgan. I mean, really. It was just like that broken chair at grandma's house. Like, we wondering every time we come by, we like, how is this still here? This is really, and nobody gonna do nothing about this? This is just gonna stay here? But some things are just unavoidable.
All right. Hi, Candace. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I actually came from Stanford. I'm your biggest supporter. Me and my friends are like your biggest supporter.
From the 203.
Biggest supporter? A sister? I'm intrigued.
I'm your biggest supporter. Me and my friends are like your biggest supporter.
From the 203.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I just really wanted to ask you, how do you deal with the constant slandering of your name, especially in the beginning? Because right now, I'm going through this phase where people are attacking me because of maybe my beliefs or my values. And like, I literally was accused of like not liking Black people.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. That'd be like going to a Bobby Womack concert and saying, hey, Bobby, I'm your biggest supporter, but you know, people telling me I'm a bad friend. Yeah, they don't trust me with their ladies. That'd be like showing up to your first day of Supreme Court and saying, I'm happy to be here. I love what you guys do, but people accuse me of opposing democracy.
I'm going through this phase where people are attacking me because of maybe my beliefs or my values. And like, I literally was accused of like not liking Black people. Like, and I'm like, how do I not like Black people? Like, you know, it's just like, and I just don't know.
I'll tell you how you can be accused of not liking Black people. For one, showing up to hear Candace Owens. That probably would do it. And then raising your hand and saying that you are her biggest supporter. That would also do it. I would add going with the White Lives Matter shirt. That probably would do it. This being your baby shower, that would do it. Supporting an anti-woke bank, having no edges, not being able to respond to God is good.
Finish this response. God is good.
God is good. Amen.
You know what? I actually did a whole video. I did a whole video. In fact, I think I've done 2 videos all about Candace Owens' anti-Blackness. So you should probably check those out because I'm sure a hit dog's gonna holler.
Because you have to appreciate stupidity. You do. You know, if you're arguing with an idiot, you become one. And I've kind of employed that now where I'm just like, you're a Black white supremacist. Am I going to get big mad at something that stupid? You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, yeah, I totally want to help usher in a society that I can't live in. Like, I just want my kids to just be like, oh, you can't do anything because I'm ushering in a society where mixed kids can't live. It's a nonsense.
Now, see, Candace, I'm sure that sounded all well and good in your head, but see, pick-me's have a long legacy. There's been a long history of pick-me's, people that sidle up with folks who want to do their kind harm because it's good for them in the short term. See, pick-me's never think about the long-term implications. If it were not for pick-me's, then all of the men and women out here moving foul wouldn't be able to find new victims who are aware of how foul they've been moving. Well, let me see. He was married when we got together. I wonder if I could trust him. See, that's pick-me behavior. That is pick-me behavior, because that wouldn't make any logical sense. But that happens every day. So no, that doesn't get you off the hook for your anti-blackness. You are just taking your short-term comfort over the larger ramifications. Pick me's been here forever.
Just imagine being married to me.
Hell no.
My poor husband, he rolls over. He's like, "What are you reading?" And I feel like a regular wife.
What is a regular wife?
Just imagine being married to me. My poor husband, he rolls over. He's like, "What are you reading?" And I feel like a regular wife says something, I don't know, maybe a love series, Nora Roberts, sweeping her away. Me, on the other hand, he rolled over, he asked me, and I said, "Oh, I'm reading a flat earth theory." And it dawned into an entire conversation. He's like, why are you reading a flat earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it, and they included some links, and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe.
Now we know. You know, now we know. Now we know how this happened. Now we know exactly how this happened because she surrounded herself with people who felt like black people were inferior. They weren't used to being around black people. It made them uncomfortable. And then she got curious, and then she got lost in her curiosity. This all makes perfect sense. If any nonsense that is sent your way is something that you feel like you have to delve headfirst into, now I understand how you got so lost. And one thing I will say, at least she's aware of it.
I don't know. I'm just an interested person. No matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe. And of course, he pushed me on this, and he was talking about the earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science, because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith.
Now, I challenge that. I don't see how you left that church, because from your response to God is good, I don't think you've been going.
God is good.
God is good. Amen.
No. No.
I thought you were going to say God is great. Thank you for the 48.
God is great.
No.
I don't think you've been going. I don't think you were ever a member of that church. And I can actually prove you were never a member of that church because the church of science would be ruled by the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world following a systematic methodology based on evidence. That is according to the Science Council. But I'll give you a simpler definition from Wikipedia, because I know how much your kind loves to take stuff from Wikipedia. Science is a rigorous, systematic endeavor that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable hypotheses and predictions about the world. This all makes a whole lot of sense, because you love to throw out wild accusations and conspiracies without any actual evidence, and then question how anybody can hold you responsible for the actual things that you do, as evidenced by the fact that you just out here acted incredulous at the possibility of you not liking black people when I have whole volumes of your anti-black behavior. See, it's the evidence that you refuse to acknowledge and accept.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I guess maybe if the evidence hasn't been sent to you in your inbox for you to check while you're laying in bed with your husband, then apparently it doesn't exist. I can see no better example of your ignorance of actual evidence than this one.
What did Harrison Butker do wrong? What? You mean this kicker gets on stage at a Catholic university and talks about how much he loves his wife and how grateful he is for everything that she does as a homemaker, and how she is the perfect yang to his yin, and how grateful he is that he has faith and that he has God, and how he puts it God first in his life, and the whole world just collapses. The media just could not deal with this. They were like, what are you talking about? How could you say such crazy things? But if Harrison Butker had gotten up there and been like, listen, on my third divorce, my child is trans, and we're just going to let he, her, she, they, them pick his gender and make all the decisions.
right? Because government is king. They would have been like, he's a hero. He's amazing.
Now, here's the actual evidence. Butker criticized President Joe Biden, who is Catholic, and other unnamed Catholic leaders for pushing dangerous gender ideologies on the youth of America. He also came for the LGBTQ community and encouraging graduates to have Catholic pride, but not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. And of course, what would a right-wing rant be without delving into DEI, saying the world around us says that we should keep our beliefs to ourselves whenever they go against the tyranny of diversity, equity, and inclusion? How could anybody possibly have a problem with that? I mean, really, all that he said were things that were natural and come from God, like opposing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then there is this little fact, this little piece of evidence that his mother, Elizabeth Keller Butker, is a medical physicist at Emory University's Winship Cancer Institute in Atlanta and holds, amongst other accolades, a degree in chemistry from Smith College, a private women's liberal arts college in Massachusetts. So that looks a little bit weird when you're showing up to speak at a graduation and telling them they need to go home and make babies. It looks a little bit weird when that's not what your mama did. That is the evidence. But of course, I wouldn't expect you, a rejecter of science, to take any evidence into consideration. I mean, clearly, you have taken no evidence into consideration with regards to how we respond to you by virtue of how you continue to move. Or how about the evidence of blackness that you see in the mirror every day that you refuse to accept? Huh? Was that? Oh, there's no mirrors in her house? That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Of course, as I have said since the beginning of time, there are mistakes that police officers are human beings. There are mistakes that happen.
Police are people too. So what exactly was Sonia Massey? Welcome to Racist of the Week, where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. Now, first, I would like to take a moment to recognize Sonia Massey, the 36-year-old Illinois black woman who had called 911 for help with what she perceived as a prowler and ended up deceased on the floor of her home thanks to the very police that she called. The police that she greeted at the door by saying, "Please don't hurt me." You couple that with the fact that her last words were sorry, and you have something that's going to impact me in a very significant way. Those of you that have been watching the channel for a very long time, I've spoke at length about Elijah McClain and the reasons why that loss touched me and hurt me so much. The fact that he was saying, "I'm sorry," as he was being killed, literally. And the reason why that hurt me so much is because he really was internalizing his own brutality. He thought in that moment, or at least he vocalized in that moment, that in some way he was responsible for his own brutality. And when you greet the police by saying, "Please don't hurt me," and your last words being sorry, you echo that exact same sentiment and you engender that exact same response in me. We found out later that the man who shot her, Sean Grayson, the 30-year-old Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy who has since been fired, while being indicted by a grand jury last week on 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count each of aggravated battery with a firearm and official misconduct in connection with the shooting on July 6th, didn't activate his body camera until after he had fatally shot Massey. The other deputy had activated his body camera when he first arrived at the scene. And in that body cam footage, Grayson could be heard telling his partner that Massey wouldn't need medical help immediately after the shooting. Grayson later goes to his vehicle to get his own medical supplies, and when he gets back to the house, he asks if there's anything he can do, and he's told no, to which he says, all right, I'm not even going to waste my med stuff then. This was a man who records show worked at 6 different law enforcement agencies in 4 years after being charged twice with a DUI in 2015 and 2016. Now, just the first part of that, having worked at 6 different agencies in 4 years, would be disqualifying for a lot of jobs that require a lot less competence than walking around with a gun and a license to use it. Somehow, working for 6 agencies in 4 different years wasn't a red flag for this man to give him a license to kill. Not to mention the fact that you couple that with the DUIs and you have a man who I can only wonder why he was deemed to be qualified to walk around with a badge and a gun. There's also the fact that, according to Sonia Massey's family, they were initially told that her death was self-inflicted. They were told that this woman had taken her own life in the initial accounts from the police. So I have to ask, how many times do we have to have the initial reports from the police completely contradict what comes out later in footage or what the official report becomes before we stop taking these initial reports as gospel? Because for me, it's not very many. It's not very many at all. If you have a friend, if you have a relative, if you have a coworker who tells you something that is repeatedly proven not to be the case, how long would it take you to stop taking what they say as gospel? I'm not even saying to assume what they're saying is a lie. There's a long way from assuming what they say is a lie from assuming what they say is the truth. I'm saying in that space in between is the ability to not receive the information they're giving you as necessarily exactly the way it went down. Our refusal as a country, okay, our refusal to move off of taking what they say as absolute gospel is why we are continually in this place. This report is exhaustive, way too long, and absolutely heartbreaking. Now, this seems like a pretty cut and dry case to the point that I haven't seen a whole lot of pushback from the back the blue, no matter what crowd. But there was one whose anti-blackness runs so deep, she can even back an agency-hopping, drunk driving, no assistance giving officer who shot a woman who opened the door after calling for help and saying, "Don't hurt me." And that one is today's nominee, Candace Owens. Okay, roll the clip.
Of course, as I have said since the beginning of time, there are mistakes that police officers are human beings. There are mistakes that happen.
Ooh, we are starting out hot. Mistakes that happen. There are mistakes that happen. Police are people. Okay. When those mistakes result in a loss of life, there is supposed to be a reaction for that. There's supposed to be some justice associated when those mistakes result in a loss of life. Let's take our Officer Grayson and his record, for instance. The man has 2 DUIs, yet he was deemed fit in order to be an officer and walk around with a badge and a gun. Now, if those DUIs had resulted in loss of life, I don't know that to be the case. I believe that our criminal justice system is built to have some bend when there is a loss of life.
There are mistakes that police officers are human beings. There are mistakes that happen.
Some mistakes are not equal to other mistakes. I also find it fascinating that at no point is there ever mistakes happen and that's applied to the person who got shot. That's never applied to the civilian who meekly opens the door saying, please don't hurt me. We can't make mistakes. But the people that are trained to handle these situations whatever happens, happens. They can make mistakes, but we can never make mistakes. This is always only applied in one direction.
Police officers are human beings.
Police are people too. So what exactly was Sonia Massey?
The idea that now you're going to use this situation, and all the usual suspects are already involved, we know that Attorney Crump is already involved, to then try to make Black Americans believe that this happened simply because she was Black is pointedly ridiculous. So I am saying to Black Americans today, do not take this bait. Yes, what happened in this situation, I think he's going to have a very hard time, this officer, saying that he absolutely felt so threatened by boiling water that the only solution was for him to mindfully say, I'm going to shoot you in the face, and that's what he did. I think that's going to be a very steep hill to climb. But the reaction from Black America cannot be exactly what they want. There is a reason that whoever is in control of Joe Biden's account instantly tweeted about this, okay? It's because they think we're stupid. They think we're emotional. They think that we always respond illogically and emotionally.
Stupid, emotional, and illogical. That would be kind of like consistently coming to the defense of officers whenever this happens, right? That would also be no matter what the circumstances are, even circumstances that you yourself admit don't make any sense, and he's going to have a tall hill to climb to defend himself. Even in that moment, you will still find a way to turn on a camera and give a fervent defense to the officers. Stupid, emotional, illogical. That tracks.
There is a reason that whoever is in control of Joe Biden's account instantly tweeted about this, okay? It's because they think we're stupid. They think we're emotional. They think that we always respond illogically and emotionally, and that it's an easy way for them to shore up votes by saying, oh, look, forget that we've destroyed everything around you and that we got you to burn down your neighborhoods, burn down your neighborhoods in 2020. And then obviously stole a bunch of money because none of that money actually went to making your neighborhoods better.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Absolutely incredible. So it was Joe Biden, it was the Democrats, it was the people looking for criminal justice reform. They were the ones that got you to burn down your neighborhoods. So it wasn't your pushback to wanting to be seen as a whole person that created the frustration that boiled over in 2020. It was the people doing the pushing. It was the people wanting us to feel like whole human beings. I would love to see that math. I would love to see that math.
Look, another video, and this means racism is back, and vote for us because we're going to show you how emotional we are. That's exactly what Joe Biden did. He tweeted this on the heels. He wrote, Sonia Massey, a beloved mother, friend, daughter, and young Black woman, should be alive today. Sonia's death at the hands of a police officer reminds us that all too often Black Americans face fears for their safety in ways many of the rest of us do not. Sonia's family deserves justice. I am heartbroken for her children and family as they face this unthinkable and senseless loss. Jill and I mourn with the rest of the country, and our prayers are with Sonia's families, loved ones, and community during this devastating time. Okay, again, going to say here, this happened in Springfield, Illinois, that the only reason whoever is in control of his account is putting that out there is because too many Black Americans are turning toward Trump. They think too many Black Americans are catching on to the Democrat scam, and so they scan every one of these situations.
Too many Black Americans are turning towards Trump, so that's why Biden felt the need to tweet this. Well, then it would have made all the sense in the world for Trump to tweet this, right? To endear himself to Black America. Did Trump tweet something? Huh? Did Trump tweet about Sonia Massey? Does his Truth Social account work? Oh wait, it does, because he saw fit to post this. Oh, yeah, he had time to post this, but he didn't have time to post about Sonia Massey. That's weird. I would say that's weird, for somebody that obviously is receiving so much love from the Black community to further entrench himself, that he wouldn't have posted that, because he surely finds way to exploit other crimes. I mean, let this have been a migrant. Let this have been a migrant. Let this have been an immigrant. Or anybody vaguely brown. You know how fast he would have posted about that? Because that fits his narrative. Yeah. Hell, he would have posted about this if Grayson was dusty enough.
They think too many Black Americans are catching on to the Democrat scam, and so they scan every one of these situations and they leave out the hard facts. And the hard facts are that if you examine this just based on a percentage rate, white Americans unarmed are more likely to be shot and killed by police officers in mistakes, shot and killed by police officers in these correspondences than Black Americans. That is a fact. It is an inescapable fact. There's no way to examine the statistics and not come out with that understanding, okay? And they don't want you to know that.
Who told you that, Candace? Huh? Who told you? Was it the Heritage Foundation? Was it Patriot Front numbers and stuff? I need to know who told you that. They don't want you to know that because it's patently false. I will give you this against my best judgment. I actually went and did some research. Black people, who account for 13% of the U.S. population, accounted for 27% of those fatally shot and killed by police in 2021, according to Mapping Police Violence. Now, how you get from 13% of the population to accounting for 27% of those fatally shot and killed by police and still say that white people are statistically more likely to be shot and killed by police. How you do that math? Now, I will give you this. If you want to now account for police interactions, right? If you want to account for arrests and the frequency and propensity that Black people have for encountering police, then those 13 and 27 numbers get a whole lot closer. However, that would be to hold the Black community responsible for the over-policing of their own neighborhoods. Is that what you want to do? Huh? Is that what you want to do to make your numbers look better? Is to hold Black people accountable for their own over-policing. That would be like holding you accountable from getting fired from the Daily Wire. So what? I happen to agree with your side of things when it comes to how everything went down. The facts is the facts, and the numbers is the numbers. And I would also like to add that blanket immunity that Trump touted that he was willing to give police officers would come into play in a case like this, where a guy with 2 DUIs who has hopped with 6 different agencies can open the door to a woman saying, "Don't hurt me," and not render aid after he shoots her in the head. This is the kind of officer Trump wants to make sure walks away scot-free.
We're going to give our police their power back, and we're going to give them immunity from prosecution. So they're not prosecuted for doing their job.
So congratulations to you, Candace Owens, and while we're at it, Donald Trump. You can get some of this too. You are our racist of the week. Huh? Do I ever agree with Candace Owens?
Let me tell you, if you are not a conspiracy theorist by now, it's because you are not intelligent.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep looking. But as always, if you have somebody you would like to nominate, go ahead and leave it in the comments. You can always email me at reese.waters@gmail.com, and be sure to subscribe to the page to make sure you get notified when the next video drops. By the way, I have an email list that I maintain, and I have a newsletter that I send out periodically as well. I would love for you to get on my email list. Feel free to shoot me a message at reese.waters@gmail.com. That's reese.waters@gmail.com. And the same goes if you have any suggestions for videos, if you have any nominees for Racist of the Week, if you have something that you are troubled by, or you just want to throw me a kudos, feel free to email me. I don't always get a chance to look at all of the comments, but I definitely look at all of the emails and I respond. She didn't just post a t-shirt, she's selling t-shirts. Hey MAGA, let me holler at y'all for a second. Y'all don't get tired of her stealing from y'all? Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now here I am minding my own business. I just got back from the Black Twitter party, and they was acting up. They really was acting up. I mean, to behave that way on a Sunday. Some of them need altar call. You know, some of them should have showed up to altar call. I have no idea why they sat in their seats. Now, I put out my video giving my thoughts over what happened over the weekend, and the link is in the description. And then I get home, I'm minding my own business. I get home, and then I see this. You would do that. You would do that. You would interject yourself into this, talk about Batman and Superman, didn't it? You know what? Actually, Batman and Superman have been linked to a number of ladies over the years. I remember the one time they tried to bring Batman up on charges, but at least Batman's still welcome in Gotham. You know, that don't make sense. And then Superman is invincible. Then again, Trump never admits to losing, so he thinks he's invincible. You know what? I actually looked a little closer at this tweet. I thought it was just a little funny little comment. There's a link. She didn't just post a t-shirt, she's selling t-shirts. Hey MAGA, let me holler at y'all for a second. Y'all don't get tired of her stealing from y'all? I mean, really, y'all don't get tired of her stealing from y'all? Like, when she tried to play footsie and send the black community a hey, big head text to see if she could come back through, that lasted about 45 minutes.
A limousine with the chauffeur. That's where I'm at right now. That song really does still slap, you guys. Why am I playing it? Because, well, I told you, I am having the blackest week ever.
I mean, the Uber hadn't even left the front of the house before she got turned back around. But yet, somehow she's still able to extract money from y'all. I'm trying to figure how y'all haven't tired of this yet. Like, I heard Trump say that he likes the poorly educated.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
He ain't the only one. He ain't the only one, because some of y'all don't learn. However, I must give credit where credit is due. That must be that last little black left in Candace that she turned a t-shirt around this quickly, because that is one thing that we will do. We will turn a t-shirt around. I don't care if somebody just won the championship or somebody's great uncle just passed. We gonna have a t-shirt. Lord knows we can do that. Now, answer me one thing though. So if surviving being shot, you know, for the country is the thing that makes him a hero.
And he just pumps his fist. He just pumped his fist, and somebody, whoever captured that photo, my goodness, take every photography award seriously. Now, I'm not even saying this not to make this a severe conversation or a severe topic. Obviously it is, but this is tremendous. I think this so embodies the Donald J. Trump that we know and that we love, a person that will fight for America when America is under attack. Now we're talking about an individual that is fighting for America. That image says so much. When they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, that is what they are talking about. And when we have that video, Chris, you let me know. We're going to run it so you can actually hear him say this. And he just goes, wait. In all the craziness, I'm going to be the strong one for this country. And he puts his fist up. And I think that that is absolutely incredible. So
then why didn't it bother you what he said about other, heroes?
Because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
And he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
And by the way, those were people who signed up to be in harm's way. Huh? Trump would never say nothing like that? Yeah, you're right. Actually, now that you're right, I thought about that because he always so respectful.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Of other people. He don't ever call people out their name. He don't ever criticize people. He always shows people the utmost of deference and respect. That's true. And he also has a keen understanding of American history and world history. He is an expert when it comes to historical knowledge, historical understanding.
In June of 1775, the Continental Congress created a unified army out of the revolutionary forces encamped around Boston and New York, and named after the great George Washington, Commander-in-Chief. The Continental Army suffered a bitter winter of Valley Forge, found glory across the waters of the Delaware, and seized victory from Cornwallis of Yorktown. Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Empathy, put himself in other people's shoes, and respect. He's a bastion of all of those things. So clearly it would be out of character, highly out of character for him to have said something like that. One thing is clear. It's about the image of fighting for America instead of, fighting for America. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, boy. I don't know how to tell you this, but the whole episode didn't really land like it was supposed to outside of the echo chamber. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you would know that if you was at the Black Twitter party, but yeah, it was a lot of memes. Yeah, a whole lot of memes.
First, want to say the director of Secret Service is a woman.
Here we go. If it's on the lips of white men.
Somebody really dropped the ball. You've got a DEI, basically a DEI initiative person who heads up our Secret Service.
Candace Owens is going to come get it.
First, want to say the director of Secret Service is a woman named Kim Cheadle. Okay, and you already know what I'm going to say. Oh, there's going to be the headlines. Candace says that women shouldn't be pilots and women shouldn't be running a security apparatus.
Just in case you're wondering what she's referring to, this is not her first DEI rodeo.
But unfortunately, that is the reality of what happens when it comes to DEI. And what he is remarking on is true. I would be terrified if I got onto a plane and I saw a woman. Oh, there's going to be the headlines. Candace says that women shouldn't be pilots and women shouldn't be running a security apparatus. Let me show you this clip, by the way, of one of the way too many Secret Service female agents trying to holster her gun. Okay, this is from last night. This is actually a real footage from last night after the President of the United States, former President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, was almost assassinated. Take a look at this video.
So let me get this straight. You are going to show us video of a level of incompetence that is, quite frankly, unheard of, where we are seeing male Secret Service members react slowly and not cover the president, but you want to point to the woman in the corner who's struggling to holster her gun. You're going to selectively pick out the woman to absolve all the men of keeping Trump clearly exposed after there was some kind of threat. Sounds about right.
No disrespect to the many women who are willing to lay down their lives, right? I have no disrespect. There are tons of women who can shoot guns, right? And shoot them very well.
Women shooting guns out here? Oh, no. Hey, somebody tell Harrison Butker. Hey, somebody tell Harrison Butker they shooting guns out here. He not gonna like that.
But when it comes to the responsibility of guarding the former president of the United States, we need men.
Candace, I'm curious, since we're talking about DEI, what kind of men? What kind of men, exactly? You want to specify it? What kind of men? We want to do that? I feel like I know what you mean, but I just feel like you should just say what you mean.
We need men. Can we acknowledge reality? Are we allowed to acknowledge gender and sex and the natural biological proclivities of men versus women? Are we allowed to do that? Because guess what? I don't care whether we're allowed to do it. I've been doing it the entire time. I want male pilots. I want male security guards. I want men back, okay? Men back doing male tasks that they are naturally inclined to do because of their body composition, because of the testosterone that is coursing through their veins. It impacts women differently than it impacts men. That adrenaline rush that we get, something happens to a kid, I very much want there to be women there. When we are talking about guarding the life of President Donald J. Trump, the fact that there were so many women there is just unbelievable. And I'm going to show you, by the way, the director of Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, where her priorities were. You're not going to believe this, you guys. DEI. Yeah, she wanted to make sure, as the new director of Secret Service, that we were being diverse, equitable, and inclusive enough going forward.
For all you women out there watching that and feeling away, just know that the black community has been here. We have been here. We are here for you with all of your needs, and it gets better. Just know that the Candace Owens experience gets better. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time for us. We have to go back years and multiple administrations before when we realized that she was the mole. There's a lot of comedy here. Yeah, we have a lot of fun on this side of the fence.
I mean, I'm just like, ooh. When I say ooh, guess what? That punch would hurt less than if a man had done it. You want to know why? Because I'm a woman. I don't mind these women in roles if they're organizing the security apparatus. I think women are very good at organizing. We are naturally more organized, okay? I think that women do better when it comes to multitasking, as just one example. That's why there's the expression, if you want to get something done, hand it to a busy mom. Do you know what we're not good at? Being under pressure in situations that are life or death.
Basically, if y'all would have been in a truck with sandwiches and orange slices and some Capri Suns for the real agents when they got back, that would have been solid.
Who do you think could win in a fight? Her or Trump? That's a problem, okay? We need strong men. We need strong men that are laser focused. The kind of men that run into buildings when Audrey Hale, who was the trans Tennessee shooter, storm into the building without second thought, put their lives on the line, and take her down in moments.
I'm just curious how many right-wing white male shooters she had to dig through to find Audrey. No. This one looks interesting. No. Oh yeah, we got one.
You're telling me this guy was able to walk up with a rifle in his hand and scale a roof, and you don't think the Secret Service, and let me tell you, they get there days before. Let me tell you how a security apparatus is supposed to run. Days before, they get in and they look at every possible angle in which somebody could hurt the president, okay? And I'm not even talking about once you get to the Secret Service. I'm talking about if you just have security in general. Before you speak, they will go, hey, this is the stage? Okay, let me tell you, that right there is a problem. They'll mark that as a spot. That right there is a problem. We need to know who this person is. They'll knock on doors, okay? They got to figure out every possible angle that any individual could potentially get on a roof, because you know what? This has happened in the past. People have been shot from roofs. People have been shot from windows. There is a 0% chance that some random person with a rifle was able to scale a roof, unless there was just an unbelievable failure in intelligence. And you want to know why it's unbelievable? Because I don't effing believe it. I don't believe it.
So if you don't believe it, am I supposed to believe it? If you don't believe it, that is fascinating. Now Candace, by the way, wasn't done. She also threw this one out. Thomas Massey for VP. He's the correct pick. As I've said in my live, one of the reasons I supported Vivek early was because he called this exactly as I saw it. He knew, I knew, Alex Jones knew. Now what exactly is it that Alex Jones knew, you're asking? Yes, it was 5 months ago on InfoWars, Alex Jones suggesting an attack on Trump could be beneficial for retribution and in order to take out the, quote, deep state. So Alex Jones knew that this is the kind of thing that would be helpful because it would legitimize retaliation. So...
And you want to know why it's unbelievable? Because I don't effing believe it. I don't believe it.
Then, Candace, what exactly are you asking me to believe? The fake Jamaican from Crown Heights with the weed and bribery charge, who's also married to another woman? Don't sound like it was a long line. I'm just telling you. I'm just giving you facts. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, so many of you guys sent me this story. Send it by email, which you can always email me at reese.waters@gmail.com. I knew I had to cover it. Now, this is Byron Donalds' ex-wife, Bisa Hall, giving an interview to the Florida Trident where she airs him all the way out. Now, I have never really felt any amount of compassion or empathy for Byron Donalds, but this might be the first, because I mean, anybody ex come in and start giving interviews, it's gonna be a problem. Let me tell you what about his feet. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. That being the case, let's dig in. When Bisa Hall met fellow Florida A&M University freshman Byron Donalds on campus in 1996, she believed the future congressman and Donald Trump VP shortlister was from another country. Quote, he told me he was from Jamaica and he had a Jamaican accent and he was cute. Then the next time I saw him, the Jamaican accent was gone and he said he was from New York. Now, a lot of us like to reinvent ourselves when we decide to go to college or just when we go out of town in general. But a whole accent that you clearly weren't very committed to. I mean, what, you thought you would just give it 2 weeks, 3 weeks and then drop it? Yeah, I'm gonna get the Jamaican accent just to do the introduction. But then, you know, after that first date, then I'm good. I'll just go back to talking like Crown Heights. Yeah, that's how we do it. Quote, he felt like it would make him stand out, and he was right. There were a ton of guys from New York around, but there weren't any guys from Jamaica. He was right. It got him noticed. The chameleon-like patois role-playing certainly won her attention. Hall wound up marrying him And that first encounter has special resonance as she watches her ex-husband's political career go places that would have seemed unfathomable during those early days. Quote, an opportunistic person like he is will take whatever opportunity they're given. He was always driven to get what he didn't have. He was trying to fill a void and get what he didn't have. Byron Donalds, fill a void for his own personal gain and fulfillment. Yeah, that checks. Yeah, I believe that checks. The 45-year-old Donalds has stood out his entire political career, initially as one of very few black Tea Party Republicans in a sea of almost exclusively white faces, and today as a top surrogate for the Trump campaign and the MAGA movement, talking about filling a void and getting what he didn't have. Now a stalwart of the Christian right, he was neither religious nor was he political during the 8 years of their on-again, off-again relationship, Hall said, although he did register to vote in Tallahassee, yes, you guessed it, as a Democrat. We never talked once about how we were going to go and vote. It wasn't a thing. To see him now out here saying, I'm a conservative black man, and I'm like, since when? He wasn't talking about politics at all. To see him now, it's like, when did this happen? And I will say that, granted, politics can evolve over time, but a conservative person typically will have been conservative most of their life. And if anybody knows that, it's going to be significant other. I believe they know exactly how conservative or liberal you might be. Now, Bisa Hall was actually reluctant to give this interview to the Florida Trident, but she reacted to seeing Donald cozy up to Trump and specifically his comments about Jim Crow. Quote, I have big reactions to that man. I don't think he's a good human, talking about Trump. It's not even political. I just think he's a bad person. To see Trump and Donalds in collusion together, it was like if Donalds were a good human, would this very bad person be pushing him as a poster child? They're both very opportunistic. You trot him out there and it makes some people feel better about Trump. I think what he's doing is super dangerous. I think morally he and I have no crossover at all. Speaking of the danger of a black face to parrot Trump's rhetoric. Now, I have talked at length about the value of black faces when it comes to this kind of thing, the whole pick-me mindset and ideology. I have lots of videos all about that, and I'll put the links to some of them in the description. But in this case, we literally have documentation of the shift that he makes for his own personal gain. I know it in theory. It's very fascinating to actually see it in practice. Hall actually addressed Donald's criminal charges for marijuana possession with intent to distribute and bribery, as well as his dramatic conversion to evangelical Christianity. Oh yeah. Oh, y'all didn't know Byron had charges? Yeah, Byron got charges. It did not endear him to the black community. No. I guess that's a specifically Trump thing. Now, after their first meeting on the Tallahassee campus, Hall and Donalds fell for each other. She was a sheltered and solidly middle-class girl who grew up the only black girl in a white neighborhood, and he from an impoverished upbringing in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn, raised by a single mom. And you can see what the attraction was, because he would have wanted nothing more than to be the only black girl in a white neighborhood. Okay, the only black guy in a white neighborhood. They quickly moved in with each other and became engaged. He had charm, but it was street charm. What he lacked was money. He was always complaining about how he didn't have any money, and the cash shortfall led to a serious problem. Donald started selling weed, said Hall. Now, I'm not gonna act shocked and clutch my one hitter over him selling weed. I just think it's always fascinating when people that have emerged with a background like that pull the ladder out to prevent other people from doing the same. Also, I think there should be a moratorium on exes accusing people of crimes. I'm just saying, hey, Byron Donalds, I am not here to defend you. I'm here to defend us. Well, in late 1998, just days short of his 19th birthday, it happened. Donalds was arrested for marijuana possession with intent to distribute. A pretrial diversion program kept him from serving any jail time in the case. Donalds has claimed on multiple occasions the arrest involved only possession, contradicting both the listed charge and Hall's remembrance. Now that is, he clearly belongs in MAGA. Who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? You gonna believe me or the listed charge? The criminal justice system, and also my significant other at the time, who I confided in more than anybody else. Who you gonna believe? Around the same time, the living arrangement and engagement ended, but the pair kept a close friendship and on and off again relationship. Then in the summer of '99, Hall faced a crisis when her scholarship ran out and she could no longer afford out-of-state tuition. Quote, "We didn't get married for a romantic reason. I had a residency issue. The easiest way to fix that was to get married to a Florida resident, and Donalds was a Florida resident by that time, so we got married." Now, Donald would transfer from FAMU to Florida State, where he was arrested again, this time on a felony bribery charge. Now, he pleaded no contest and the charge was later expunged, leaving the details of the case unavailable except for Donald's own explanation, which he provided to a Southwest Florida television station after the arrest was revealed in 2014. And once again, here you have him being able to use mechanisms that he's trying to pull out from under other people. Quote, 15 years ago, I came into contact with a girl. She offered me $1,000 for my debit card and my PIN number, and I gave it to her, he said. I never got the $1,000, but I had to make restitution to the bank in excess of $7,000. Raise your hand if this has happened to you. No, okay. All right, let's go statewide. Statewide? No. National. I need, where are these ladies? Where are these ladies offering the money for the debit card? And I'm trying to, does that make sense to you? Hall recalled that Donalds described it differently to her at the time. I bet he did. The way he explained it to me was that he had a job at the campus bookstore when he was at Florida State, and he had gotten caught stealing something from the bookstore. And then it was something along the lines of, we're gonna have to let you go. Then he told the bookstore, I'll give it all back and give you the money if you don't say anything. Now that happens. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we see that every day. Whatever the case, Donalds again was given a break by the justice system, resolving the case with no jail time or serious consequences. He's characterized the criminal charges as youthful mistakes and has said finding evangelical Christianity helped him get on the right path. I would say the criminal justice system and having your record expunged helped you get on the right path, but whatever. At some point, Hall became aware that Donalds was dating a FSU student named Erica Lees, who hailed from the upscale coastal city of Naples in Southwest Florida. While Hall knew about Erica, she said Erica had no idea that Hall was Donald's wife. Quote, he told her I was a friend and I would pet sit their cat. So they brought the cat over, and that's how I found out I was allergic to cats. Now that is quite a fall from grace, from going from the wife to the one pet sitting the cats. However, once you see exactly what Byron Donalds turns into, I would rather be a cat pet sitter. I would actually rather be a pet. She won. She actually won. The relationship was serious, but Hall said sometime around Christmas 2002, Donalds came to her with a startling proposition. He wanted to rekindle their relationship. He said, Erica and I have split up and I want to give it another chance. I want my wife back. But a short time later, after he made a short trip to Naples, Donalds did another sharp U-turn, telling Hall they needed a divorce as soon as possible. Long story short, turned out Erica was pregnant and they had to hurry up and get married. Oh boy, nothing like a whole shotgun wedding and finding out after the fact that it was in fact a shotgun wedding, but needed a divorce to precipitate the shotgun wedding. Oh man, has anybody got any ring cam footage or any surveillance footage of the Donalds after this came out? That's what we need. We got all these reality shows. We ain't got nobody to see Byron Donalds walking in the house after this became public. Now, Donalds also asked her to pay all the fees for the divorce, which she did with the caveat he'd pay her back when he could afford it. It was the last transaction in what she described as a largely transactional marriage. Quote, we've been divorced for 20 years and he still hasn't paid me back. I don't find him considerate. I don't find him genuine. In all these years since you've changed the nature of your character, no. Donalds married Erica in March of 2003, and their first of 3 children together was born that August. So that whole thing about her being pregnant, that tracks. The wedding to Erica led to what seemed to be a fast change in fortune for Donald's. When he left Tallahassee, he had nothing. Less than a year later, he's living in a giant house. Things also changed politically for Donald's. Just a month after the wedding, he changed his registration to the Republican Party. And I wonder what it was that caused his change in political ideology. Was it the house? Was it the big house? Something about the big house, that it comes with the Republican registration. Is that one of the things you have to fill out? Is that in your closing documents for the house that you have to sign off to become a Republican? It's a long way from Crown Heights, physically and definitely mentally. He jumped headlong into the right-wing Tea Party movement, which was virulently opposed to the country's first black president, Barack Obama. Of course, you have to oppose Obama. You're supposed to be the only black. You're supposed to be the only black. Yeah. Donald's, who was then in his early 30s, began speaking at Tea Party rallies, playing to the older and almost exclusively white crowds with a hardcore conservative message. Donald's decried social programs that have assisted poor families, like those in his own Crown Heights neighborhood back in Brooklyn. Yeah, we gonna go ahead and pull that ladder out. That ladder says Donald's on it now. I wrote Donald's on that ladder. It's going with me. He said, "Today, I'm everything the fake news media tells you doesn't exist," he said during a 2020 campaign ad. A strong, Trump-loving, gun-owning, liberty-loving, pro-life, politically incorrect black man. I don't know what the media is saying, but we definitely know that has existed, because grifters that would turn their back on the black community have been around for forever. I mean, Malcolm and Martin used to warn us about. In fact, I believe Harriet was aware of grifters like you. So no, your level of self-importance is running way too high, sir. Erica Donalds, meanwhile, has been her husband's champion and has also entered politics, serving a term as Collier County school board member that ended in 2018. While Donalds passed legislation in the Florida House to expand public funding for charter schools, Erica has made a lucrative career of managing them. She served as an advisory board member for the book-banning Christian conservative group Moms for Liberty, and like her husband, has been publicly praised by Trump, adding speculation she could serve as his education secretary should he be elected, according to a recent report in the New York Times about the couple's involvement in for-profit education. I, by the way, have covered Moms for Liberty and addressed them and given them a proper dragging in past episodes. She's certainly been a staunch defender of her husband, especially on matters of race. I gotta read that again. She's been a staunch defender of her husband, especially on matters of race. Oh, really, Erica? Tell me more. Quote, "They can't accept that a free-thinking black man achieves success on his own merits," she tweeted. "And they sure as heck can't stand that he's married to me. Cry harder, haters." I really think she deserves a whole hell of a lot more smoke. I'm like, how have I missed her this entire time? Please, Erica, tell us more about our lack of understanding of a free-thinking black man and why we can't stand that he's married to you. Oh my gosh. It doesn't sound like it was a long line, Erica, because the fake Jamaican from Crown Heights with the weed and bribery charge, who's also married to another woman, don't sound like it was a long line. I'm just telling you, I'm just giving you facts. So I don't know why you think we bad. I don't know why you think we missed something. Not only was he a trash candidate before, he's worse now. So I don't know who you think is looking for Byron Donalds. I mean, other than the people in that Atlanta smoke shop, they might be looking for Byron Donalds. Now, after the criticism, Erica appeared with her husband on Sean Hannity's Fox News. Quote, "My husband is a natural-born leader. He's the future of the Republican Party. It's unfortunate that those on the other side, they're the ones trying to tokenize him and say that the only reason he's successful is the color of his skin or because of who he is and the color of my skin. We all know that's not true." We definitely all know that's not true, because literally Chip Roy in your own party was the one that tokenized him when he nominated him as Speaker of the House. So try again. That was the interview from Bisa Hall, Byron Donald's first wife to the Florida Trident. And it gave us a whole hell of a lot of insight into how Byron Donalds evolved into the creature that we see before us today. Somebody who clearly can't be trusted. And I'll be honest, Erica, we have seen where he came from and where he went for his own personal gain. Don't let him see nothing else. Don't let him see nothing on the horizon. He liable to pop up with another woman speaking Polish, and he thinks that there's a grift in it for him. You ain't safe. By the way, I have an email list that I maintain, and I have a newsletter that I send out periodically as well. I would love for you to get on my email list. Feel free to shoot me a message at reese.waters@gmail.com. That's reese.waters@gmail.com. And the same goes if you have any suggestions for videos, if you have any nominees for Races of the Week, if you have something that you are troubled by, or you just want to throw me a kudos, feel free to email me. I don't always get a chance to look at all of the comments, but I definitely look at all of the emails and I respond in kind.
Wesley Hunt, for a year, spent a year living in Robert E. Lee Barracks. Every single day that I walked beneath that threshold, I looked up and saw that name and thought to myself, damn, this is a great country.
You don't forget about where you're from. Don't
I never-
paint the picture. Don't tell us that we can't educate our kids on the opportunity. We're talking about vouchers. You're talking about things that's still going to cost them more money.
Let them fight. Let them fight. No, let them get it out their system. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. They keep trying it. You remember what happened last time.
During Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively.
How dare you make such an ignorant observation? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Somehow, after all that, Byron Donalds tried it again. What? If at first you don't succeed, they say try again. But these days in 2024, you try again, you get arrested for stalking. So these are not the days that we grew up with Byron Donalds. Try again is not our ethos. This time he was joined by Wesley Hunt of Texas in the latest iteration of their Congress, Cognac, and Cigars event aimed at bringing more black men into the GOP. The roughly 2-hour conversation was moderated by former ESPN host Sage Steele. And if anything says we're gonna bring all the boys to the yard, it is former ESPN host Sage Steele. So that's who you brought in to bring black men into the GOP? Huh? That'd be like saying, you know what, for the black ladies, we got Jesse Lee Peterson. Hey! The only people that Sage Steele was bringing to the yard is white folks who want to touch black people's hair. Now, thankfully, unlike the black church, the cigar lounge was actually filled with a predominantly black audience, which means they got that smoke.
There was a vote about a representative, a local representative, that brought up an amendment to the defense bill to reinstate a Confederate monument that has a depiction of a mammy receiving a white baby from a Confederate soldier. Of the 4 people that voted to have that reinstalled, 3 of them, 2 of them on the stage, 3 of them were our black Republicans, right? Of the 4 black Republicans, 3 of them voted to yay on that. That vote almost passed. Something like 206 to 192. I don't understand, from descendants of black slaves, why you think that isn't a principled position. So I think when we talk about to black men, it seems deceptive to come in here and talk about issues and then vote what seemingly isn't based on principle.
Just think about it. A mammy receiving a white baby, something that most black people would have a visceral reaction to, yet in this case, we can't even trust black people who have risen to legislature status to vote against something like that. We can't even trust them to act in our interests about something wildly racist. That is where we're at.
Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general that fought against the rights of people that looked like me. Wesley Hunt, for a year, spent a year living in Robert E. Lee barracks. Every single day that I walked beneath that threshold, I looked up and saw that name and thought to myself, damn, this is a great country. Because only in America.
I got it. Let me finish that. Only in America could you get away with wearing those boots in front of a black audience. I need to know what's going on with the kids today, because I couldn't have got away with those in middle school. Now, grown folks are walking around like that and just parading them in front of black audiences. See, we don't joan the way we used to. We don't play the dozens. We don't do none of that, because that would have got rid of this. If he needs a black friend. He needs a black friend, because a black friend would have threw those in the trash and burnt the trash can.
Wesley Hunt, for a year, spent a year living in Robert E. Lee barracks. Every single day that I walked beneath that threshold, I looked up and saw that name and thought to myself, damn, this is a great country. Because only in America do you have 3 black children matriculate through the premier leadership institution of the entire world and graduate from there and live in a barracks named after a Confederate general. Only in America. And if it were named anything differently, I wouldn't have that perspective.
So let me get this straight. You want to keep it because of the perspective you gain having to think about Robert E. Lee. So you want future generations to have to go through those same mental gymnastics seeing Robert E. Lee. Now here's a question. How do you think we got to the point where you could go to the barracks and be inundated with that? How do we get to the point of celebration that you had in your head as a black man to be able to see the statue and know that you had achieved something? You think we got to that point just by being like, hey, at least it's not as bad as it used to be? You think that was it? Huh? You don't think prior generations actually continued to push the bar forward, but you just found a convenient point where you just like, this feels all right to me. This feels good. I actually talked all about this and the problem with Black Conservatives piece, which I will point to. I'll put the link in the description. The idea that all of a sudden we've reached the racial finish line. We're good here.
Do you think I support the Confederacy?
Hell yeah, I think you support the Confederacy, because I just listened to the words that came out of your mouth with those boots on.
Do you think I support the Confederacy? Don't kid yourself. Of course I don't. Excuse me?
Wow.
Of course I don't. See, this is what happened to you last time. This is what happened to you last time.
That's when you know he in trouble. That's when you know he in trouble, when he start bringing, hey, this what happened to you, Byron. Why don't you come on and help me?
Wow.
Of course I don't. See, this is what happened to you last time. This is what happened to you last time. I'm trying to have a nuanced conversation.
See, this is what you call fake smart. What is nuanced about what you just said? There's nothing nuanced about what you just said. You just said you wouldn't have had the revelation and appreciation and gratitude for how far we've come if it were not for the Robert E. Lee statue. However, you were only able to have that feeling of gratitude because of the work of black folks who paved the way for you, which you are refusing to do for future generations because you're comfortable. It's really not that nuanced. It's just lazy. Now, somebody needs to get them together. Huh? Oh, they did? Oh, I can always trust Atlanta.
You don't forget about where you from. Don't paint the picture. Don't tell us that we can't educate our kids on the opportunity. You're talking about vouchers. You're talking about things that's still going to cost them more money.
The point I'm making is that I actually do understand
You
where I came
don't.
from.
You don't
I
understand.
totally
It's
recognize
obvious.
the value of
It's
that.
obvious.
And what I want to say is, at no point in time will I ever be a victim. That's why I'm
Everybody
sitting
has
here
a story,
right
is my
now. And
point.
I don't care what the name of
What
the
are you
statue
going to
was,
do?
and I don't care what the name of the building is.
What are you going to do?
I don't care what the name of the building is because
I'm a black man. This is a
I am
conversation
not.
for black men, and all I hear is people that are non-black trying to hush me. I came here from my family.
I think
we had
security.
But I'm getting all the stories.
I need you to talk with respect. My goodness, this is not kindergarten.
Careful, careful. Did you hear the pause before kindergarten? No. I don't think kindergarten was her first choice in her head, but then she realized that this was a black event, and she was like, "Oh, I can't say what I would have said in normal circumstances." I wonder what her first choice was. Magic City? Huh? This ain't Magic City. This ain't Lenox Mall. Huh? Don't y'all go acting them. This ain't a Hawks game. She could have actually said this ain't a barbershop, but the barbershop was a whole nother GOP debacle. And in fact, I made a whole video about the whole barbershop situation with Rockies, also involving Byron Donalds. So make sure you check that out. The link is in the description. Now, Byron Donalds was just chilling, but you know it was no way Jim Crow wasn't coming up.
My piece of advice for you, I think Byron Donaldson, is that you can talk about black families, talk about black families, and talk about the black father, but when you intertwine Jim Crow in that, you're going to drive people away. So it's kind of like Bill Cosby. Have you seen that Cosby show where he said, you know, you can present steak and asparagus, but if you put it on the trash can lid, nobody's going to listen to you. So that's my piece of advice for you.
I know. I said the words Jim Crow, and if you listen to the media, they would say that I wanted it to come back like you would say Beetlejuice if you said Beetlejuice 3 times.
Byron, that's foul, man. That's foul, Byron. Because Lauren Boebert did nothing to deserve that. Lauren Boebert did nothing to deserve that. Here she is, minding her own business, somehow just won her primary, because evidently people still sleep or high in Colorado, and here you are calling her out in an Atlanta barbershop. That's wrong.
And if you listen to the media, they would say that I wanted it to come back like you would say Beetlejuice if you said Beetlejuice 3 times. And I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm saying it because that's literally what happened. In that meeting in Philadelphia, what happened was we were talking about black families. If you look at the empirical data, before Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, black marriage rates were significantly higher. Did I reference Jim Crow? Yeah, because that was the era of time. Do I want it to come back? No, I don't. And I think the most, and brother, I want to say this. Hold on, because it's important. Because again, if you want a talking point, that's one thing. If you want a detailed answer, that's another. Nobody wants Jim Crow to return. I don't want Jim Crow to return. That's insanity.
Say it again. Say it again.
You want me to repeat myself?
Repeat that again, please.
Nobody wants Jim Crow to return. But hold on, Wesley. Hold on, Wesley. My brother, hold on. Calm down, though. My man, chill. Can I answer the question? Go ahead. This is important. It's okay. Whoa. Both of y'all are talking. I'm trying to hear both of y'all. I'm trying to hear both of you. You want me to answer or you want to answer? You want to answer my question? Do you want to answer the question, or you want me to answer the question? Because I'll answer the question. Hold on, shh. This is important. The history of our country is very, very painful. It's very painful. But now, if we refer to it, if now the point is that now it's going to insinuate that you want that back, that is what is destructive. But it's not different, brother. It's the truth. Do you want to, because let's talk, hold on. Do you want to talk about it or do you want to yell about it? Because I'll talk to you about it.
All right, I just let that whole thing breathe because I didn't want to jump in and stop him from stomping on Byron Donalds. Nah, I took my phone out and just videotaped the whole fight. It'd be like normally I just say, it ain't worth it, brother. But all of a sudden, if the fight's going the way I wanted to, let them fight. Let them fight. No, let them get it out their system.
I understand the divisive nature of the words Jim Crow. I understand that. Okay, so I hear where you are coming from.
I do too.
What I do want you to hear us say is that we aren't speaking about Jim Crow in terms of going back. We are talking about it in terms of a period in history, and I'm not trying to be divisive in that way. So I hear that word, those two words, trigger a generation. When my parents hear they're still alive, it triggers a generation. I understand that. We agree. We understand that those times were horrible. Under no circumstances do we ever want to return to anything like that. But I do. No. I'll miss your question. What I want to recognize with what you said, and it's something that I will actually think about and use some deference with. And like I said, I don't like canceling words. I don't like that. I like telling it like it is. But I do understand how those two words, to a lot of people in this country, is a really bad visceral trigger.
So if I understand you correctly, what you are simultaneously telling me is that you understand the pain and the pushback that comes with bringing up Jim Crow, but you just lazily and facetiously threw it out there to describe an era of time. Is that what you're telling me? Something that could have just as easily been replaced with a decade or year, you decided to go with Jim Crow, knowing that it evoked pain in the black community. Make that make sense. That made sense to you in your head? That made sense to you in your head? The more you try and explain this, the worse it gets for you. I think the best thing that you can do for yourself is to go home and to not appear on camera again. At least until Donald Trump picks somebody else for VP, because I'm gonna need you to stand front and center for this dragon that I'm gonna give Byron Donalds for all the shuffling that he did for nothing. Donald Trump didn't put nothing in his hat.
Check it out. Dang.